Hi, I made a decision about 3 seconds ago to look as white as possible. I have never in my life worn a headband like this. Also, hair in my face drives me crazy because I like sweat 24/7. I look like Mother Mary. I have a halo. Anyway, the new Avatar is coming out soon. I haven't seen a release date yet, and I'm also like not in the Avatar verse online as much as a lot of other people are, but I know that it's called Seven Havens. I know that there's twin avatars that they are both avatars at the same time. So when I first heard twin avatars, I did not realize they both had powers. I heard avatar who has a twin and not twin avatars, and I think that's way cooler. Now, understandably, somewhat, peeps are mad. Peeps are angry. Fans are very upset. I understand, like, there's a faction of, like, super loyal fans that would be upset about a lot of stuff. You know, I digress. That being said, I'm mega excited. I am a huge Avatar fan in my own right, but not, like, because of my knowledge. Just because I like the shows and I want the books, but they're too expensive, but I want them. And I love the art style and it makes me happy and nostalgic, and I think it's one of the greatest stories of my generation. Another thing, I loved Legend of Korra. Was it Avatar: The Last Airbender? No, it was its own thing, and I loved it for what it was. I've rewatched both of them multiple times. I think they're both fantastic. I don't know why you would try to compare Korra to Atla, because they're just different. But I mean, I understand why you would, but I'm always leaning toward giving the creators, you know, a chance, because I just love the creators. They've just done so many cool things. They've built a whole world. They also like allow for us to participate in the franchise in a way that's like, for me, become way more meaningful than how the Harry Potter franchise ended up in the end, because as a kid that was like one of my main things that I loved. But anyway, when it comes to the new series, I am so excited about the twin avatars specifically. I think the world sounds cool as hell. I love lo-fi. Like, I love like a low-tech universe, but I also enjoyed steampunk, which was what, you know, I loved the Korra universe. I feel like Korra and Arcane are like kind of both steampunk in their own way. Arcane leaned in, I think, a lot more into like the magical side of things in a lot of ways. I just think that was like two things I really enjoyed that I wouldn't say were exactly similar, but they're definitely like under that steampunky universe with like a little more technology in there, a little more civilization. And of course I loved like the old world of Atla. Atla world was so magical and fresh in its own way whenever I was a kid. My camera's being super misleading because I can only see like to here on there, and I assume you're seeing like part of my couch. So I don't know what that's about. I'm really excited about the twin avatars because I think it can be really, really cool. Light and dark aspect in a way that could subvert our expectations. So light and dark, nothing new, especially between relative. I do think it can be done well. Okay, it's Pavu and Nisha, where Pavu essentially actually does literally translate to light, and Nisha basically translates to night or dark. I just think I would love for them to subvert our expectations in the way some franchises choose to do, where the dark character is not exactly dark, or the light character is not exactly light. I have always enjoyed that trope personally, because you can enter into a movie, a show, where they sort of make a person sort of like a neutral good character. They kind of set you up in that almost like childlike expectation by the way they dress and the way they look, like they're beautiful and they wear white robes and whatever, and then you find out that they're evil over time and that your expectations of them didn't exactly match up with who they really were. I always enjoy that, and I love when a dark character turns out to be the good one, the misunderstood one, the one who was trying to be good all the time but misunderstood forever, and then you kind of see in the end how their actions all added up to this big, sometimes sacrifice or big plot for trying to save the world or something like that. So that's what I would love, and I feel like this is entirely possible with the twin avatars thing because of the way that they're setting up like their costumes and their cats and their names, just everything about them. They are really, really honing in and projecting this image of this one is light and this one is dark. And for that reason, I think we're really set up to be led into thinking that way for each of them, which would be an easy way to then subvert later on with the characters. I always tend to have a soft spot for dark characters that can be sort of ambiguously evil in the beginning, where it's more like the vibes are bad than like their actual actions, and where they can be misunderstood. That, as always, I've used the word misunderstood like 35 times. What does that say about me? Do I have a problem with not being understood? Anyway, I would find it much more interesting than just this one's light, this one's dark, blah, blah, blah. I am also gonna throw a horse in the race here. A lot of people are expecting one sibling to, you know, the other one. I am thinking what's gonna happen is the dark sibling is gonna sacrifice themselves, which is like the ultimate confirmation of their goodness. Not that that's an inherently good or necessary thing for anyone to do ever, but I feel like that's a possible outcome and a compelling one for this, you know, particular situation, this setup that's going on. Other things I'm really excited about. I am excited for new art. I'm excited for a new world. I think it's great that they're doing something new. Brian and Michael, I think, are just people who creatively, I'm always interested in what they want to do and what they want to say. I'm always interested in them putting out anything. So the fact that they're doing anything, I'm like, thank you. Thank you for doing this again. Thanks. I'm so happy you found the inspiration, because before, I believe they have said they would be okay moving on to new projects and stuff like that. When it comes to franchises, I feel like we're always living, you know, with our legs across two straddling, thank you. I feel like we're always straddling between like two possibilities when it comes to creators, big fandoms, which is either they tire of it or they continue. Like there's, you know, you just don't know. I feel like both are equally possible. And oftentimes they can continue in a way that's not beneficial, in a way that's easy. For example, a lot of people have said that they could have just stuck with the books, and instead of creating something new, just remake something from the books. And there's an audience for that. You know, people would want to see that. But do I believe in my personal soul, I'm an atheist, by the way, that Brian and Michael want to do that? Probably not. I feel like creatively they're going to find what's most fulfilling for them. And so I'm really excited that they just have something to show us. That's how I feel personally. They're people, you know? They're not a franchise. They're not a business. They're people. I'm happy they got something new. I want to see it. So I'm just happy that they have anything at all. And I'm happy that it's a full season and it's in the Avatar universe still, because that's just so exciting to me. I'm excited for new creatures, creature combos. I'm excited to see what the heck is going on with how did the Four Nations end up in this situation, how mixed society is, and how common tribes are, because it's so common for them to be present in past Avatar universe things. I'm just really excited for all of it. I want to see what's going on, and I'm going to support this. And they did say, I think, that it's Nickelodeon again, so I'm not sure what that means in terms of streaming, because I'm not up to date with any of that. I'm also very excited to see what news we have of Vaatu and Rava and how they manifest. Of course, when it comes to the twins, there's a lot of speculation that the reason twins now exist, because we did have an Avatar with a twin in the past, but that was before Korra changed everything with Rava and Vaatu, who, by the way, we didn't know existed until Korra. And so when people are saying that they are debasing, ignoring, changing Avatar lore, it is changing. I would assume they wouldn't just scratch the previous lore. They're just going to expand on it, add to it, because they know that the largest part of their fan base is adults who watch this. And I can't imagine Brian and Michael wanting to poo-poo on their old work. Like, it's their work. It's their legacy. So I assume they have reverence for the process it took to, like, get to the current lore. So I'm not worried about them destroying anything. I'm excited for what new things are gonna happen. That's just me. Boy, my hair's been on a journey, hasn't it? Let's turn this. So anyway, I am largely super excited for everything. And I assume that, I think it's Lauren and Dante, please don't crucify me, but the voice actor of Korra is I assume is going to be in the franchise as Korra. I do believe we're either going to see her in flashbacks or speaking to the new avatars or in stories, things like that. I'm excited to see how they hopefully use Dante. I just can't imagine an Avatar animated series without Dante voicing somebody, and I assume they know that, and plus they are still promoting this series, so I assume they have some sort of hand in it. I haven't kept up with them online regularly, but I have kept up with them online over time since Korra and moving forward. So I don't know what their personal passions are, like if they wanted to maybe have a hand in it that isn't necessarily voice acting, like for personal development kind of thing. I just know that they must be involved in some capacity, because otherwise the promotion would be entirely selfless. Also, I think a lot of people are concerned about the age of the characters and they're calling it a baby show, which just makes no sense to me. Obviously, I do think it would make sense for it to be marketed to kids, especially seeing as Nickelodeon's probably going to be the platform. But I just feel like people forget that you can do both, just like I feel like Avatar did both and Korra did both even more. Like, having two kid avatars could also mean having more adult characters who are around to aid them and protect them. Not that that is a logical necessity when it comes to a animated universe. The laws of social, structures don't exactly exist always. Like, you might have a kid show where you never see their parents, but I think it is a possibility that we should remember. I think it could legitimately open more doors to cool adult characters, or just characters that have to engage in more adult type adult type storylines or adult themes and ways. And just because you have a kid doesn't mean that they can't experience intense things. It may just make everything more confusing. So I'm just curious to see what they do with that. It's just very interesting for me to speculate on the reasons as to why they would go younger, like younger than Aang, because what did they want to do there? I'm so curious. Now, if it was purely just to attract a younger audience, that would be problematic, just because I do think they will benefit from bringing in new ones, new audience members. And I do think that's something they might have to do to keep up the longevity, I guess. Like, I wouldn't blame them for wanting to do both. I would blame them for wanting to abandon adult viewers that grew up with Atla and Korra. And it doesn't, to me, make any sense, business-wise or legacy-wise. That just seems so much less likely to me than just them making a good show that translates for everybody. I just think that's the outcome that makes the most sense to strive for. So hopefully that's the direction that they're taking. Again, if it's Brian and Michael, like, I'm more than willing to trust the process. But if the reason that they have younger avatars is not because purely they just want to abandon their adult audience and only attract to younger viewers, then in that case, I think it's incredibly interesting to speculate why they wanted younger characters. Of course, this is not something I know about in world building, no storytelling, like what would be so compelling about it. So I'm very curious where the depth will be coming from in the show. Now, there is dark themes, and there's going to be a military, and there's going to be, some sort of war of a sort, maybe not between people, but between forces, people and forces of nature. Curious to see how that manifests with two main characters who are children. Like, who else is going to emerge amongst the main characters that catches our attention? I'm very curious about that. By the way, does anyone know what happened here? This was so vibrant when I bought it in New Orleans. Can you see, though, like, how pale it is? Yeah, I don't think I'm crazy. Like, this was a deep, like, New Orleans purple. And this was, very, very deep green. The yellow is, I think, about the same. But what happened here? I've worn this, like, once. Did the sun do this? Like, I'm not handling this like crazy. Did the sun do this? I need answers. Someone call Mythbusters. Editing Kenna here. Remember when I said that my hair and my face really bothers me? For a fun game, drink every time I do this. Or this. By the way, I'm talking so slow because I can see myself in the camera because I don't have, like, any professional equipment of any kind, and I have to face the camera toward me on screen, like where I can see myself, like you're on FaceTime or something, or Skype, or Teams, because if I don't do that, I can't like stop the camera whenever I want to. And also, I don't know what the heck is going on screen. So normally I don't talk this slow, but it's like there's a distraction the whole time. There's someone staring at me. I'm gonna sign off in the style of the great Shane Top of Smosh. This has been YouTube. Go!